What do you think the Democrats are going to do? Bring it on, because Jack Smith is he's gonna bring the evidence.
Donald Trump has already named his cabinet and is now threatening tariffs on Canada, Mexico and China. Welcome to Trump World 2.0, a foreign country for Democrats and even some traditional Republicans, those that are still left, that is. We're used to the idea that Trump ended the Republican Party as we know it. Might he also end the Democratic Party as we know it? It would be pretty epochal stuff for someone who's been a property dealer rather than a politician most of his life. But the fact is that in 3 Trump elections since 2016, almost every traditional Democratic constituency has turned to the right. As a result, and this is quite startling, Trump has made, in 3 election campaigns, more gains among Black, Hispanic, Asian American and young voters than he has among white voters without a college degree, which is meant to be his core constituency. In the process, Trump has undermined the basis of the old Democratic coalition and created a new multi-ethnic Republican coalition right under their noses, and they didn't even see it happening. So, what do the Democrats do? Bob Weiner is a Democratic strategist, former spokesperson for both the Bush and Clinton administrations. He's got his own insights. Bob, welcome back to the program. It's good to have you. Now, when you were last on the show, the election campaign was going on. You got out your crystal ball. Let's just have a little listen to what you told us.
Oh no. Democrats have won everything since 2016, 17 through 24. Every election in one way or another, they won because of an undercount. People talk about the Trump undercount. It's been the Democratic undercount that has come to the fray. And I think that's what will happen here. And here's the reason. The Haley vote, even when she was out of the race, she got 10 to 15%. Nikki Haley got 10 to 15% of the vote because not Trump among Republicans. You're looking at people from Liz Cheney to Dick Cheney down to the lieutenant governor of Georgia and hundreds of Republican officials, former Trump national security officials, disgusted with Trump.
Bob, instead of the Democrats winning everything, as you said they had since 2016, Mr. Trump won the White House, the Republicans won the Senate, they held on to the House, and of course they control the Supreme Court. What went wrong?
Andrew, why are you even having me on after that wonderful...
Because we like you so much.
Yes, it went off the rails, and you are 100% right. What went wrong? There's a circular firing squad going on now.
Yes,
and it's they're it really was 1.6% in the popular vote, and even in all of the swing states, it was tight. So every election where there's a vast switch over, whether it's from Reagan or Nixon or Johnson or Obama, the very next off year election, and often the very next presidential election, after everybody said the party is dead, it comes back and even wins the presidency. So you have to be very careful about the diagnosis that says we're through. Here's something that comes to my mind, Andrew, and I love being on your show, and thank you so much for having me, even after that horrible set of predictions. The Republicans are going to do the investigators. That's what Pam Bondi, who replaced that predator Matt Gaetz, is going to do. At Justice, and Jim Jordan in Judiciary, and whoever's going to chair the Senate Judiciary Committee and so forth. They're going to do that. Be careful what you watch for. When the Democrats had hearings, Trump sank 10 points. That's what happened in the January 6th hearing. And so what do you think the Democrats are going to do? Bring it on, because Jack Smith is going to bring the evidence. If he's had a hearing, he will bring the evidence, and the very hearings and the very things that the Trump people didn't want, it's going to come out more and more and more and more. And by the way, there's always buyer's remorse about a year after an election result, no matter who wins.
So, well, that's what the midterms usually show. But Bob, I want to ask about something more fundamental than this.
Go ahead.
Because none of that really did you much good in the election campaign. There's something was going on.
That's
and it was
because we shut
happening
up
under
too
you.
much.
It was happening under you, something quite, a watershed, something where the tectonic plates were shifting. And that is that bit by bit over the past 10 years, Trump was getting more young voters, more black, more Latino, more Asian American, all of whom were traditionally Democrats. And suddenly it came out in 2024, this culminated in him stealing your coalition. He took the coalition from under your feet. Now, this doesn't mean the Democrats are going to be wiped out. Of course not. The Democrats are still going to be there. The question is, what kind of Democrats? What are they going to stand for? But this thing that was happening under your nose, which you didn't see, I don't mean your nose, I mean your party's nose, which it really didn't see, or if it did, it often denied, is going to continue. It's a continuing trend in American politics.
Well, maybe. Remember what happened in the last 2 weeks. At the same time that NBC was showing the polling 3 days before the election, that 10 to 15% of the late breakers were moving toward Harris, she was doing love and kisses, join in community, let's work together. Trump was doing this, having a negative rally at Madison Square Garden and just throwing negatives out. The lesson is that negative campaigning works. Trump did it, and we didn't in the closeout, because she was surging before that when she was going much more anti-Trump, when she was showing the democracy problems and the problems that Trump had. Instead, she was all love and let's work together and ignoring so there was this very harsh strategic error at the end there. So that's one thing to point out. The other is the Democrats made a catastrophic organizational failure in voter registration. Over a third of the country did not register to vote, and it was about a 40% no turnout because there were 10 million that stayed home. But the failure in voter registration is something I'm very sensitive to. I was the first youth vote director in 1972, and we brought in the record that still stands of young registration by posters and flyers and working. And Terry McAuliffe, the former chair of the DNC, put me against the wall at a Christmas party, and he said, "How'd you do it?" And I said, "With a lot of work." Jamie Harrison, as much as I love him, and he's a friend of Clyburn, who's a friend of mine, he didn't do it, and he made some strategic, disastrous errors, including blocking the Congressional Black Caucus from accepting their offer of $10 million to pay for a massive voter registration drive by African Americans. And that really was stupid in all of the swing states. It was penny-wise, pound foolish in a $1.5 billion campaign.
Hold on, Bob. You can go through all these things and you can argue about the minutiae and some of the details, and this could be done, this could be done. I'm trying to help you here. I'm trying to help you here by pointing out that there is something more fundamental going on, and we don't know where it will end, and we don't quite understand what the consequences will be for the Democrats. And the problem I'm trying to put to you is that this new, and it's amazing to put this adjective in front of the word Republican, this new multi-ethnic Republican coalition, it could still have a lot of life in it yet. It only won the popular vote by, I think we're down to about a couple of million now. They're very slow counters in California.
1.6%.
There we go. But it's at its most advanced stage in Florida, the fastest growing state in the union, which Trump won by 13 points, and he only won by 1 point just in 2016. That's my point over what's going on, and how do the Democrats count?